The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
Hey everyone, this is James from Cave Dweller Music. I am joined today by the Pennsylvania-based band Almost Honest. My co-host Brandon will be here. He's just running a little late today, but expect him to drop into the recording a little later on. Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having us.
Anytime.
What?
I don't think I...
I mean, you reached out to me recently with a new single. Since then, another one has dropped. Loving the direction of the album. Can't wait to hear the rest of it. But do you want to tell us, like, sort of who you are, what you play in the band, a little bit about the band before we get into all that?
Yeah. So my name is Shane, and I play guitar and I sing.
I'm Quentin. I am the drummer.
My name's Garrett.
Knew that was going to happen. Go ahead, Garrett.
Oh, okay. Well, my name's Garrett, and I play the bass.
And I'm David, and I also play guitar.
Awesome. Great to have you. And then, do you want to tell us a little bit about the new album that's coming out? What's sort of the theme of it, the focus? What's the new direction you guys are going in? Love to hear more.
Yeah. So this time we decided to delve even deeper into our Pennsylvania roots. So it's a lot of about Pennsylvania folklore, mythology, Pennsylvania imagery, and just kind of the Pennsylvania Dutch culture that we grew up in. It does obviously also cover just personal issues that we've always done, but I kind of like to bury that in kind of goofiness. But the overall theme is going to just be Pennsylvania.
Oh, love that. Very unique theme. I mean, that's kind of what hooked me. I was like, oh, Pennsylvania folklore. That is something I haven't heard before.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to. So, like, when you think of like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, you think of California. And when you think of Clutch, you think of Maryland. And we kind of wanted to go that route because those are kind of experiences that like a lot of people don't know or don't get to experience. So we get to share that with people.
That's very cool. What the band's background? How did you form in the first place?
So it was about a decade ago, and it was started by myself, David, and our old bass player, Seth, who just recently left. He just moved. Everything's all good. And another individual. We sort of like early on in high school, just for fun. We didn't really have like a sound yet. We didn't really know what we were going for. We just wanted to play music. But we were in the metalcore scene because that's just what was in our area. So it was really hard to get people into what we were doing because all the shows we played were just metalcore and we are not that. But then probably about, what was it, Quentin? Maybe like a year into us being a band is when you joined?
Yep, yeah, I joined about a year in. First coming in as kind of just like a fill-in drummer for some live shows, and then, then kind of joining on permanently and the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I mean, just playing this long, it just kind of it clicks. But just for those that do not know, David left maybe I don't know how long it was into the band. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years, something like that. And he went off to college. And then we just maybe had like 1 or 2 or 3 other lead guitar players kind of come in and out over the years, but we really didn't have one. And we just kind of rocked as a 3-piece for a while. And then just this past year and a half, our bass player moved like 10.5 hours away. So you can't really keep that going. So we got Garrett, who is Quentin's brother.
Oh, there you go. Nice. That's awesome. Keep it in the family.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, I mean, the area that you're in Pennsylvania, whereabouts is that? I mean, my geography with Pennsylvania is pretty terrible. Whereabouts in the state are you based?
it's South Central. So if you just look at a map and look at Harrisburg, it's pretty much just south of that. It's kind of in the Amish country, so just a lot of farms. We're about 2.5 hours from Philly and like 3.5 from Pittsburgh.
Okay, so a distance to any sort of like really large city.
Yeah,
which is, I guess, the issue that you're mentioning with the live scene.
Yes, yeah, we just had to kind of get into wherever we would best fit, and metalcore is what it was.
That's funny. I mean, I've seen those pairings a few times in local scenes when I grew up in the country in smaller towns and cities in Australia and New Zealand, so I understand the whole music scene where bands play with what they can get type thing. I've seen a lot of those shows where it's like, why are these guys playing together? Like, oh, right, because there's nowhere else to play and no one to play with.
Yeah, exactly. And our area too, I mean, for those that don't know, it's August Burns Red is from around here. Same with Texas in July. So especially like when you go back like 10 years ago, you can really see why people, like, there was an actual scene for that because they are from this area. So there was actually a lot of prominent metalcore bands from here.
Okay, I did not know that. That's awesome. Good to know. I guess like the Amish thing, I'm gonna have to ask about that. Does that? I mean, obviously, I see in your logo you've got something that you described in the Bandcamp description as being an Amish hex or something like that, right?
Do you mean for like the single, like the song Amish hex?
Yeah, exactly.
So it has to do with like a lot of imagery, and it's also a story. So here's kind of where that comes from. So on barns around here, you'll often see like just a colorfully painted circle on them. And they're called Dutch hex signs. And they just kind of have a long tradition of, back then they were kind of like quote unquote spells to kind of ward off just evil spirits, or if you wanted your crops to grow well, that's kind of like what they were for. Now it's kind of more of just like an art form. But they're kind of associated with that. So the story we wrote was just about an Amish child who was being picked on by the outside world. They call it like the English world, but picked on by the outside world. And eventually he finds a book in the woods called the Hex of Penns Woods, which summons an Amish wizard, and he uses that wizard to punish the people who wronged him.
I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of the lyrics is just a lot of imagery from the culture. So like Disselfink is a line, and that's a type of bird that's prominent in that culture. One of my favorite desserts is shoe fly pie, which is a Pennsylvania Dutch kind of like a molasses pie. But I just wanted to be really cheesy, so I have a line in there that's shoe fly die. I just like to be kind of ridiculous with things, but I got to have a nod to like my favorite dessert and just kind of be goofy with it.
That's very cool. I mean, I like the fact that you work in so much personal stuff and then also the cultural stuff. And I feel like the album feels like anyone can connect to it from that perspective, but you've brought a lot of yourself to it too, which is, it's a cool blend.
Yeah, I think that's what I don't know how the others feel, but I really feel like we're kind of hitting a stride where it's very comfortable to play with each other, and it's comfortable to write. And I think every band is searching for a sound, and they want to just click. And it took a while, but I really think we have finally kind of hit that.
And then speaking of sound, you had a really cool collaboration that I thought was a great fit for the album on Laughter of the Deer Owl. Do you want to tell people who you had appear on the track?
Yeah, so we had Brandon Yeagley of Crobot, sorry. And it was just as simple as we wrote the song. I could just hear him on it, and I reached out to him, and he was on board. And it wasn't just him coming on and just, tell me what to sing, I'll sing it, and I'm done. He was really invested. he really cared. He actually was like, okay, let's get together and actually like work on this. Let's work this out and write it. And that was just fantastic. They're one of the reasons why we have a very energetic live show as well. I went to see them back in 2014 before they released even their first record. And when they got on stage and started playing, I'm like, this is what a live show should be. Like, this is so energetic and fun. And I'm like, that's what we need to be. Like, that's what we need to do. That draws people in. And yeah, it's just a dream come true having them on. And I'm very grateful, like one of the nicest dudes I've ever met.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think with live shows, there's like 3 ways you can go that make them good. You can either be highly energetic, you can be super engaged with the audience, or you can be really atmospheric and like an immersive.
Yeah, I agree. I think we try to cover all grounds. We're working more on the atmosphere right now. That's something that we haven't really had. We normally just, got up super energetic and played and just be really engaged with the crowd. Like, I'll normally jump off stage and just kind of interact with people, and that's always fun, and always just kind of look directly at people and just make it a fun show. But we are starting to incorporate like some costumes into different songs. So Amish Hex, we have that Amish wizard costume, so we'll kind of put that on for that real quick. We have a song called Cannibal Cowboy. So we'll all just pop on cowboy hats really quick. Just to kind of like add like that atmosphere, just make it a little more memorable. It's not like anything crazy get up, but it's just like you'll remember that.
Yeah,
definitely. Remember those Pennsylvania cowboys for sure.
Yes.
Authentic. So, I mean, I haven't actually asked this question yet, but whose inspirations sound-wise, who did you sort of base your music on?
I think we're all going to have to talk, just because we didn't, especially when we started, we never had a set, this is what we're going to sound like. We just had bands that we like. So at least when I started, I was like pretty into like the kind of stoner doom rock, but at that time I was also really into the band Him, and also like thrash metal. So I was really into like Havoc and Megadeth, and it slowly morphed into like that stoner rock doom scene. So the big ones I would say are like Crobot, Red Fang, Mutoid Man, and Clutch. But I do think we all have our own bands that we really gravitate toward, and we all bring those influences together. So it'd be cool to hear from everybody else what they really dig.
Yeah, I mean, when I came in the band, it's similar. I mean, I knew nothing about the stoner doom rock community. Of course, now, if you'd asked me now, what are you listening to? It's a lot of those things, like Clutch and King Buffalo, Mutoid Man, like those sorts of bands. But yeah, when I came in, I mean, it was mostly I was just a big fan of alternative, a lot of '90s stuff like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and things like that, and that kind of inspired my playing style. And then it's been interesting, as you grow and find new influences, how your own sound changes and then becomes a blend of all those things. As far as adapting your own influences to kind of fit into your musical style and your community and your genre. And it kind of, adds some uniqueness to it without trying to be like, we need to sound like this band.
Yeah.
I guess I was into, in high school, more like alternative metal stuff, like Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, and Disturbed. Those have always been the big three for me. I still listen to them. Currently, I guess I'm into more heavier stuff. I've gotten really into this band Spirit Box lately. Tool. There's this group called Starset. They're not really, I mean, they can do some heavy stuff, but they kind of mix kind of djent and electronic. It's kind of like cinematic type rock music. That's the way they describe it. They're pretty interesting. So yeah, that's what I'm into at the moment. I think it's a lot. I think it's pretty different from what the other guys are into. But so I just take that style, and whenever I'm writing, I try to take some of those techniques and fit them into our songs if they work. And I think it kind of makes a unique pairing with everyone else's interests.
Yeah, it brings some diversity to the sound, which is nice to have.
Yeah, I feel pretty similar to David in that I would say that even now I still know just about nothing about the doom stoner rock scene. Currently, I'm into the Crane Wives, which is like an alt folk group. I like Muse is some of my heavier influence, but I'm still pretty fresh to the whole doom scene, so not too involved with the genre. But I really dig it. I have a pretty diverse, music taste. So
I think it's nice that you all have such different backgrounds, though, because that's how your music sounds so interesting. You all bring something different to the table with your writing.
Yeah, and I feel like if you just like tell someone that, it does sound like it would be like a recipe for disaster if you just tell people all these influences and you come together. But like, I feel like after playing this long, you kind of know how to make a song work. And then all the influences, I would say, are more spices than they are the core.
Yeah.
Because if they were all the core, then I think it would be a mess. But then you just kind of have those spices, and then it kind of just makes it unique.
Yeah, there's very few bands that can pull off like those insane sound fusions. There's some that do, like obviously like Mr. Bungle and stuff like that. But I think a lot try, and it just sounds like a mess. But if you just take elements of each and work it in, as opposed to like taking the actual sound, it's a lot easier to make that work.
Yes.
And my co-host Brandon has just dropped in. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
Was running late on a couple errands, and then I was like, "Oh boy, James is calling me."
We kind of discussed the band's new album, their inspiration, the sound. So I've asked a bunch of questions. If you want to ask a couple things.
Oh yeah, well, I was curious about the process of your own folklore.
So you're talking about like the songs that we make up
Yes.
and write about.
Yeah, and the kind of little world and stories that you've kind of created to get into all of this.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite parts. It's really fun, and it can be completely different how we come up with them. So I'll just kind of give a couple examples. So for our song Cannibal Cowboy, that came about because kind of thought like, okay, so if you go into a store and you have those like really cheap like movie bins of DVDs that's just like random movies you've never heard of, like what would you find in there? And then thought Cannibal Cowboy, like you pull that out as like a B movie. And so we just started kind of writing about that. I kind of like, I like rhyming schemes and just things that sound nice together. So for our new record coming up, we have a song called Mortician Magician. And it kind of usually starts with just a name. So I had Mortician Magician because it's just kind of crazy, ridiculous, but it sounds nice. It rolls off the tongue. So then I'm going to write a story off of that that's like ridiculous. So like, one of the lyrics is pulling like a severed hand out of a hat. It's just, it's really goofy. I think with a lot of the songs too, we like to have them be tongue in cheek and goofy and fun, but we want everything that we do in the music to be serious. So apart from kind of like the lyrics and some like little goofy guitar bits and stuff, you wouldn't know, but I kind of like that because I feel like a lot of bands have that serious thing going, like pretty much most of them. And I get that, and that's awesome, but I just kind of wanted to do something different.
Right. Or you have bands that fully lean into goofy or spoof or comedy, and that's also really, really cool as well.
Right.
But I think there's a balance to it. And I think too that we have I'm sure every area where somebody lives is like this, but at least here in Pennsylvania, I mean, everywhere you go, every small town you go to, they have their own like localized folklore, and some of it's super goofy. So sometimes we like to pull elements of that into the songs, or just feel inspired by that to create something completely new.
Right.
Like Shane kind of came up with the deer owl hybrid creature that the new single is about.
Yeah, and just to add one more thing, so like Appalachian Sasquatch that we wrote, that actually came about because my dad was telling me where he grew up, which is about like 25 minutes from me. When he was in high school, they had a thing called the Pine Hill Creature, and people would go out at night and they would see Bigfoot in the woods. So people would come around with cameras and stuff, and they were selling T-shirts. But it turned out that the person who was selling all the merchandise just dressed up as Bigfoot, named it the Pine Hill Creature, and went around. So that's where that song started. But yeah, we just kind of take like local little things, or just like Quentin said, like the imagery. So like just the deer owl creature that we made up. That's not anything that is like Pennsylvania folklore mythology, but it's the imagery of it, because we have so many deer. I think, I might be wrong on this, so you might have to fact check me, but I'm pretty sure Pennsylvania has the most accidents involving automobiles and deer in the entire country.
I could see, that, or like upstate New York or something, like.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So yeah, that's really neat. With like the being able to lean into the fun and creative, all that, like that's definitely something that you guys shine on there. It's really cool.
It is. And if we need to get out something that's like on our chest that is like actually deep, that we're struggling with, I don't like to have a song where it's still just about that. I might have like a line or two that's in a song that I try to make it fit, but if you're like kind of reading the lyrics, you might be like, oh, well, that was like a little dark for that song. So I kind of like to sprinkle that in. So like you're still getting that out and it's still serious, but I don't want it to like encompass everything that we do.
Right. Like, cause your sound is the serious part, but like everything else is all fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's definitely really cool. What is your favorite like folklore outside of Pennsylvania?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go with Mothman from West Virginia. I know it's kind of cliche and he's gotten a lot popular, but I've always dug Mothman. Like,
all right,
everyone's getting on that Mothman bandwagon now, but it's just cool.
Do you remember the Mothman Prophecy or Mothman Chronicles?
It's exciting to present something new to other people, even though as a smaller band like us, even our recorded stuff is oftentimes new to people live. It's fun to break that out. But for me, I would say off of the new record coming out, and it's fun to talk about because people haven't heard it, but the track list is out there, and Alien Spiders is a really, really fun one to play live. And as far as the rest of our catalog, I do love playing some stuff off of Thundermouth. I love playing Appalachian Sasquatch live. That's a really fun one for me. And then it's also fun to hear people sing along to Cannibal Cowboy, because we tell people, hey, come sing along. The words are Cannibal Cowboy. Can you remember that? so people pretty much get it. Pretty quick, and then even if you're not into it, it's fun to just chant along Cannibal Cowboy, and hearing people shout that chorus back to you is always a good time.
Hell yeah, it's nice that when the crowd can engage, and then it's really fun, man. It's cool when bands are able to involve the crowd.
Yeah,
we've been closing with that one. At least I don't know, last maybe 5 shows or so or something like that. And I think it's a really fun one to close with because of that crowd interaction right at the end. It kind of gets everyone. It's kind of like a nice send off for the night.
Yeah. People remember that too, man.
When we break out the cowboy hats and then we got a severed arm on our merch table, people are ready for it.
That's awesome.
I did want to, before Garrett says his favorite song, I did want to add, before I forget, for Alien Spiders, I just wanted to mention most of the lyrics for that song. I know it's not out yet, but when you do hear it, most of the lyrics were written by myself and our old bass player, who's no longer in the band, in fifth grade, when we were really little, and we wrote it over Freak on a Leash of Korn. And they're just real, like the words are alien spiders coming to get you, bite your head off, make a web. So it's just, we found those lyrics and we're like, we got to break them back. So the song is super high quality, but the lyrics on that one, you'll find like some things like, this literally sounds like a 10-year-old wrote it. And that's because it is. And we thought it'd be really fun to just bring that out. Like, hey, I'm going to take lyrics we wrote when we were 10 and just make a really kick-ass song over it.
That's pretty cool. See,
Yeah.
that's creating your own folklore again, you know? It's freaking cool.
I remember Shane and I used to play soccer together when we were younger, and I remember him showing me that rudimentary recording of that song. And he might have had like an iPod or something that he showed me it on, but yeah, that song does go back a ways.
Okay, Garrett, I'm sorry.
Honestly, it sucks going last because you guys have said like all of my favorite songs to play live. But honestly, Alien Spiders definitely, Laughter, the Deer Owl. I know Quentin and Shane already said those ones. Amish Hex is also a great one to play. I also particularly love playing the bass part in that song.
Yeah.
So that one's a blast to play live. And I think off of the Thundermouth, I think Horoscope is one we brought back kind of recently, and I really love playing that one.
Hell yeah. Nice.
I've got two questions for you. One is super simple. The other one's a little more complicated. First one is, have you seen Paranormal Activity Next of Kin?
No.
Nope.
Because
No.
it is I saw it on the weekend for the first time, and it literally is about an Amish hex.
Oh, they ripped this off. When did the movie come out? You know?
2021.
They did. We wrote Amish Hex in 2019 before anything was announced. They must have had cameras in there.
But I think that you guys would appreciate at least the like folklore side of it if you do watch it, because it's like this breakaway cult of Amish people that instead of like being super Christian, like make offerings to the other side of the spectrum.
I'm checking it out now. I'm gonna have to.
It was actually surprisingly good. Like the last few had been pretty trash, but I went into it with low expectations and was pleasantly surprised.
Sweet. I wrote that down too. I'm gonna have to check that out.
And then the other question I'm going to ask is a little more complicated, and feel free to answer this in whatever order you want. But if you were stranded on a desert island and you had nothing but a solar-powered Discman and 3 CDs to listen to on repeat until you got rescued, what would you have?
Oh my god.
3 CDs. Oh man, that's so difficult. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
Quentin, you go first.
Okay, so one of them for me would be Cyberfunk by Mother's Cake, for sure.
Nice.
It's one of my favorite albums ever. And then it's hard because, I'm going to pick things that are probably more fresh on my mind than, like, historically, I've loved this record. But that one, the new Mutoid Man record, Mutants might be one of those.
Great album.
I don't know how I can possibly pick a third. I would have to either pick. I might go. I might get more bang for my buck if I go Stadium Arcadium, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, just because it's a double album. It's a great record in my mind. And then, I can't even pick or Clutch Record, but I don't know which one. So I'm gonna go there. Those would be my 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is really hard, but I honestly think I'm gonna have to do Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, because you get a lot of songs there, but I really like the variety. I probably do Clutch's self-titled because it never gets old to me. I still feel like I listen to it once a week. And I don't get bored with it. And then, yeah, the third one is always tough because that new Mutoid Man record I've been listening to. That's my favorite of the year so far. Like
it's really good.
I don't know, like maybe the new Green Lung or Howling Giant or the psychedelic porn crumpets, like those are seeming like they're gonna be really good.
Yeah, I'm excited for those.
Yeah, they might overtake Mutoid Man, but so far that's my favorite. But honestly, just for variety, because the Desert Island thing, I am thinking like I need variety, and so I'm probably gonna go with Modest Mouse's Lonesome Crowded West for the last one.
Love Modest Mouse.
I feel like those 3 records will give me a good amount of variety, and those are records that I love. Quentin, I'm pretty sure you lost my CD for that, by the way. I'm pretty sure I gave it to you to borrow, and I never got it back.
Yeah, you definitely got it back. I do have your Greenleaf one still, though. I did find that.
Oh, you finally found it?
Yeah.
The Superior Greenleaf album, right?
We're not going there. No. Okay. Well, you know what? Never mind. I don't have it anymore. It's gone.
Actually, sorry, I don't want to cut off because I know the others need to answer. But between the two of you, I want to ask you a question. Have you heard most of the Greenleaf records?
Some.
Okay, then you might not be able to answer this. But if you can, do you either think Trails and Passes is the best record, or Hear the Rivers? If you can answer it.
I'll say I remember Rise Above the Meadow more than the others, but it's been a minute since I've listened to them.
Yeah. I mean, they're all good.
They are. I'm trying to look here. The one that I'm familiar with was Echoes from the Mask. From a Man.
We all have different ones.
The new one.
I guess that question will never get answered.
I've listened to hear the Rivers and the other, but I don't remember them as much as Echo from a Mass, and that might be just because it's newer.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Sorry, I don't want to get us off track. I need
to know. Totally fine.
Yeah. No, definitely a great band. I'm actually probably going to pop them on later this afternoon now.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. Listen to that today.
Yeah. So I was like, I have those in my wish list. When I looked it up, I'm like, they're there. I've heard it. But I don't remember.
Who was next?
Oh, I think I started saying about the 3 albums. Mine are probably going to be very different than Quentin's and Shane's, but I'd have to go with Black Holes and Revelations by Muse. I'm just a sucker for Muse. I love them.
Gotcha.
And then for variety, I'd go with Hits to the Head by Franz Ferdinand, just for that pop rock.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's a good one.
And then also for variety, I need my folk in there. So I'm going to go with Folklore by the Crane Wives. Probably nothing that you're familiar with, but it's it's stuff I'm into. But yeah, definitely.
I actually listened to quite a bit of folk. Yeah, but I actually don't know the Crane Wives, so I'm gonna have to check them out.
They're pretty much the only folk I listen to be honest.
Okay.
So I'm not a huge folk guy, but I just like them.
I'm putting them on my list.
I did too. I haven't listened to a single song.
3 albums. I would go with Phobia by Breaking Benjamin, Life Starts Now by 3 Days Grace, and Divisions by Starset.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Is that everyone? I think it is, right?
So
there you go. Big spread across the band. That's kind of nice to hear.
Yeah. As I was going to say, that's probably one of the most variety we've heard in a while.
Yeah. We sometimes get like extreme metal dudes on, and it's like 3 black metal albums or 3 death metal albums in a row. I'm like, do you want any variety? You're going to be there for like a long time.
Yeah, like you might be done by the time the album's over. Who knows? But
it's true.
I'll just take Dope Smoker. I can just have 3 copies of it. That's
Yeah.
all I need.
I always liked. I always say the Crow soundtrack.
It's got a good spread.
Yeah,
The
I did
Crow
have-
soundtrack.
slow songs on there, but for the most part, it's got some really good tracks on there.
The thing people never think to pick, because there's no rule against this with the question, but you can have a greatest hits album as well. And some people
Well,
like
Garrett had one.
Ooh.
The hits to the head is a greatest hits compilation.
There you go.
They-
Yeah.
Oh.
they
Kind
found
of-
them. I do have to say I did have a friend in high school who made his own mix CD.
Yep.
It was 17 tracks. And each of those 17 tracks was I Would Walk 500 Miles. And it was the same track each time. And yeah, just 3 of those CDs would be perfect. I don't know which I love more, that or Shane also is putting together a Godzilla soundtrack, just of all the versions of the song Godzilla from Blue Oyster Cult. So
Album version.
Yeah, what the hell did I name that? Oh, I gotta
version.
find it. Oh, I named it Billionzillas. That's the
yeah,
name
because
of it.
there are quite a few covers of that song out there. I mean, it was, you could really make a playlist.
Yeah, I have 15 in there right now, but
you could probably do the same thing for like the Ninja Turtle soundtrack. A Ninja Turtle like song, the intro song.
Oh man,
Yeah.
sweet.
There was way back in the day. There was a little duet, little band, and they just did like little cafes and dumb stuff, And they were like, "Oh, this is an original," and then they just like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm just like, God damn it! I'm gonna be singing this all night now. Like, thanks, guys. That was great, though. It makes you laugh.
I know that Bonded by Blood, that thrash band from like they were like a pretty average thrash band that burned out pretty quick in like 2010 or something like that. But they did a thrash cover of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle theme song.
Oh,
That's
fine.
probably sweet,
Check it
though.
out.
Oh no! Anyway, that brings us to time actually. So last question I have for you guys is: if people want to listen to your music, follow you on social, support you, buy merchandise, any of that stuff, what are the best places to do all of that?
I'd say the best place is just going directly, like if you want all those things, our best place is just probably going to our website, which is www.almosthonestofficial.com, because that's going to have our album pre-orders. It's going to have links to our Bandcamp, all our social medias, which include like our TikTok and everything. And we also have
Events listings, yeah.
Events, and we have like an interactive map of because I'm like a nerd for maps and stuff. I love like history and all that jazz. But if you go on there, there's an interactive map of places we have been and played, and like what the venue was and dates. We have bands we've shared the stage with. So if you want all things Almost Honest, our website's going to be the best.
That's awesome. I've got to check out the map now.
Yeah, it's just covers like all the East Coast, but you can see like every place we've played, and some of the venues are closed now. But
That is cool.
you
Every
can also
band should-
see the. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say every band should have this. This is really cool.
They should. Yeah, we have like all the bands we've shared the stage with that are of note, and some of them are ridiculous. Like when we play with, we have Alien Ant Farm, Moontooth, the Mike Dillon Band featured JP of Clutch, I Hate God, Escuela Grind, Cannabis Corpse,
Nice.
Revocation. Oh my God, they hated us at the Revocation show. My God, we opened for Tech Death, so it was just Archspire, Revocation. Like we were not the band to open that, but anyway.
But you
That's
did it. That's cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you taking the time, and can't wait for the rest of the album to drop.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
No
It's been
problem.
Great meeting you guys.
Yeah, you too. And then for anyone listening at home, just tune in next time and we'll have more guests for you.
Do that.